indicate, and I said this to Evan yesterday, I said, it feels to me like had the Warriors not started playing better before the trade deadline, it sounded like he had a deal for somebody who would save him $80 million.
Damn.
And I can't figure out whether that's a guy like Looney, who's making about 8 or 9, and he did the math with it's 9, then times 5, and there was maybe another guy involved. I don't know if he was talking about Wiggins. Maybe he had a chance to get off Wiggins but not get a player back, and he thought, you know what, I'm not doing that because we're playing a little better right now. But Joe Lacob absolutely, positively still has left the door open because the one thing he said was, if this thing goes south and we don't do it, well, then there probably going to be big changes. Yeah. I think if the Warriors finish in 10th, let's say they don't make a run, they finish in 9th or 10th, and they lose in the play-in and they don't make the playoffs, I think there's going to be big changes.
No doubt about it.
But at least now they've given themselves a chance where they can move up in the standings. Let me ask you this, Goo. And let me ask Warrior fans this thing too. What's a successful year for the Warriors look like this year?
Wow, that is
season
so
ends,
interesting.
The season ends, and you're either raising the trophy and everything, or the last game's just occurred, and you said, you know what, that was still a hell of a year.
You know what? Here I go. Yeah. And I'm taking into account the roller coaster ride we've all been on in Dub Nation. If they win one round in the playoffs, that, to me, when you look at everything, you go macro, that would be a successful season. Curry might say different, and listening to Joe Lacob on that podcast again, Steiny with TK, I think he might say it with how low it looked like they were. I would say a first-round series win. Then you're saying, Goo, that's what they did last year. But it would feel different this year.
And then my question, of course, is, because I think if the Warriors win a round, and then let's say they lose in the second round, but I don't think they look good against the Lakers last year.
Well,
they were dead, and
they were small.
They were small, and that's a great point. They were small, but I think if they win a round and then they're competitive in the second round, how can you not take that?
Wow,
right now they're 500.
Yeah.
Right now, they're 500.
I hate but they were 500. And look back, you and Evan, tell me if I'm being wrong here, because I got Klay Thompson on my shirt. I love Klay. But right now, Steiny, his contract is greater than his contributions. Is that fair to say?
Sure.
So that's the rat on the
puts
table.
Puts him in a big group in the NBA.
Yeah, oh, boy. But that's the rat on the table moving forward.
Mm-hmm.
Because I want to enjoy, and we are, the next 29 games of this season in the playoffs and play in, hopefully. But I look at Klay and just think, and I know he's fighting and he's a gladiator, but Steiny, right now it is what it is. His contract is greater than his contributions. And it would be that way if they were to finish this season and you bring him back too, right? Because it doesn't look like he's ready to take a pay cut. And that's a whole nother story. Like the 2 for $48 that we allegedly he was offered before the season.
Well, is he worth more than that now?
But see, that's what what bothers me.
Well, hold on. Nobody's giving him 40. Nobody's.
How about 30? Like, I think the Lakers.
I don't think anybody's giving
a team starving for shooting. The Clippers would love.
Anybody giving Klay $30 million?
I don't rule that out.
888-957-9570. I'm not. Yeah. Listen. I'm not sitting here saying no chance, because you never know. But if
he's shooting 37% from the arc,
that's not good for him.
For him, yeah.
I mean, are you really telling me that that Klay Thompson turned down? Like, here's the problem that I see with Klay is if it's true he turned down 2 years, $48 million extension, which means this year he's making 43. Then next year he would have dropped to 24 and 24 or 23 and 25. Are you offering him more this offseason?
Well,
my answer would be, boy, I'd be a little surprised. But on the other side, can Klay take less from the Warriors than he's already turned down? Like that I wouldn't want to do that either if I were him.
And that would be on my mind.
Especially if I'm going to the bench like they see. It's like in a crazy kind of way, don't you have to reward Klay if he's saying, I'll be your sixth man. I'll play 27 minutes a game. I'll deal with it.
But what's the
almost
reward?
At that, the reward is like, okay, we'll give you 28 a year for that.
All right.
I mean, again, I don't know. But I don't.
Reading Joe Lacob's comments about Draymond Green and how he thinks he's a brother, and he talked about their relationship and he's going to retire a Warrior. Steiny, he backed that up by giving him 400. So my thing to that is, why would that stop with Klay Thompson? And maybe someone could say, oh, the injuries, but he loves Klay just as much as Dre. So
but that's not.
Can Klay benefit like Dre did?
But my feeling on the big three is Steph is still helping you. No doubt. Draymond Green helps you,
but go ahead.
But when he's not playing well, Draymond doesn't hurt you. When Klay Thompson is not playing well, he hurts you. He costs you. That's a big difference to me.
Wow.
Between among the three of them.
Don Dada, real quick, 1,200 on the First NorCal Credit Union chat says the Bucks. I don't know what their situation is, but if you're telling me Klay could go to a team where Giannis and Dame could draw all that attention and the kick out would be to Klay, like that would be just like, oh my gosh, Steiny, I believe he'd be back to 40% shooting from deep. You know what I mean? Like they could the pressure would not be enormous for him to just, I'll eat off of you guys doing the drive and kick, and I'm right here like Ray Allen.
I mean, I'm just thinking off the top of my head, they got Giannis, Lillard, and Middleton. Those three combined to make $128 million. Like, I mean, I'd have to go inside their numbers, but they probably only have the mid-level to offer him.
What do you guys think about...
What is the mid-level right now? Is it like 9 or 10-ish?
No, it's in the teens.
It is in the teens
Yeah,
now.
it's like 14 or 15.
Oh, okay.
But what are you guys thinking about... What do you guys think about something like, okay, the actual value, the annual is less, but they line them up for 3 years, so like three for 60
or something like that?
I could see that getting it done. Because I can sit here and say, he wants a new scenery, Steiny, but if Evan, like, I could see that happening.
And you line up Draymond and Steph with Klay and
that's
maybe
true.
Kerr.
Yeah. Maybe. Let's go to Antonio in Oakland. What's going on? Hey, how you doing, man?
Oh, pretty good, man. As far as what I think the Warriors can do, I think they can make some noise. We got 4 Hall of Famers. We got a bunch of youngsters, a good combination of vets and youngsters. And as far as the West goes, there's some good teams, but there's no Kobe and Shaq Lakers out there. There's no Duncan, Parker, Ginobili, Spurs, the Warriors to go against. So, like I said, don't get me wrong, there'll be some challenges, but I think we got a chance to at least go to the conference finals. Of course, I want them to win the championship. We'll see if it happens, but you never know whoever gets hot. That's what matters most, because when the playoffs start, everybody's record is 0-0, and I like our chances, and that's what I got to say, and that's how I feel.
Hey, say it with your chest.
And as the great Gary Radnich once said, how you feel is how you feel.
I miss him.
Teams can use different type of exceptions based on their financial situations. For example, the non-taxpayer mid-level exception is projected to be $12.4 million, right where everyone was talking about. Taxpayer mid-level exception is $5 million. So would somebody give Klay 2 years and 26?
And would he
Probably.
take that?
I don't know if he'd take it or not.
Yeah, I think not.
I don't know. 888-957-9570. Warriors start the second half of their season on Thursday against the Lakers at Chase Center. 9 versus 10.
And they're 14-14 at home. That's got to be fixed.
They're 500 just about everywhere. Home, away.
Thank you. Right.
So we'll see what happens there. But my question for Warrior fans is, yesterday, and we'll get into some of this Lacob sound too, we talked about the Warriors in the short term and in the long term. What are you thinking this team can do in the short term this year? What can they do? And then, to me, one of the most fascinating things Lacob said yesterday, Goo, was when he said, the goal is not to be in the lottery, ever.
Going backwards.
Exactly. Yeah. So if you make the playoffs and you lose in the first round, maybe you go to the second. Let's say they have a year very similar to last year. Well, then how do you get – now you're just a team that's top 12. then how does that team get back to the mountaintop? Can this team actually, like, they win in 2022, they win it. In 2023, they go to the second round. In 2024, this year, let's say they go to the second round again. Okay? Then how do next year or the year after they get back to championship as their core gets older? Is it as simple as, well, Kuminga will turn from a really good player into Amari Stoudemire?
Yeah.
Okay? Is that going to be good enough as your aging guys continue to get old? I don't know. Maybe it is.
Yeah.
888-957-9570 to jump into the Warrior conversation with the second half of the season right around the corner on Thursday. I'm looking for Warrior fans who want to talk about the short term and the long term and where they think this team is headed.
You know what's interesting about Joe Lacob's comments, Steiny? And I've been in relationships, and you ask your spouse, this when I was single, and you're dating or you're going together, and a breakup's imminent, and you're like, hey, are you happy? And they're like, yeah, I'm happy. And then 2 days later, it's over. I need to talk to you.
Right.
And life is about timing. So what I'm about to say is that game you went to against the Raptors and they were booing. Had Joe Lacob done a podcast with anybody at that juncture, I believe he would have had to do one with the fire extinguisher, because I do believe there was a fire around this organization. But Steiny, now with the emergence of Pods and Kuminga and the team playing better since Draymond coming back, I listened to that whole interview, and I just feel like there's not a fire right now, Steiny. There's a desire. Shout out Rick James. There's a desire to get better, and he alluded like maybe they can make a move in the offseason. How that would happen, I have no idea, but what if I told Steiny it was coming from a good place? Like, there's no fire in his mind when maybe there was one just 30 to 40 days ago.
Can I put the rat on the table?
Brought to you by Echo.
The fire was Draymond Green. He was the fire this year.
Wow. 32 alarm fire.
Hold on. Let me rephrase
23,
that.
that's his number.
Damn it. What's it called when there are flash fires all over the place? You know, let's say you got the
My brother was a fire.
Let's say give me a big park. Yosemite Park.
I was going to say Tilden.
I'll go big.
Right.
What's it called when throughout the Yosemite Valley there's fires?
Brush fires.
Yeah. That's what it was. So look, the fires were Draymond Green getting suspended and acting the fool. Another fire was Klay Thompson mentals. He was lost and he's not been playing well.
Give me Wiggins.
Wiggins was a fire. He was worthless for a big part of the season.
Right. We love you, Drew.
Let me see who else. Kuminga was a little bit of a very small fire early in the year because they needed to figure stuff out.
Yeah.
And that's why when people say, oh, well, Steve Kerr, I'm like, what's Steve Kerr really supposed to do? Klay's terrible. Wiggins is worse. Draymond's not playing. He had to tinker with all kinds of crap. He discovers Podziemski. Now Podziemski's in the lineup. What I'm getting at is the reason the Warriors are only 27 and 26 is because they did have too many fires early in the season. Right. And, for everybody that says Draymond's back and the Warriors are better, okay, I'll give you that.
I'm one of them.
Not that anybody said they weren't going to be better, but what did he do? He sabotaged it too hard, but you're 27 and 26 because Draymond Green's missed 24 games because of his behavior. Yeah, I'll give you. Maybe in those 24 games, you might, instead of being 12 and 12, what if you were 14 and 10 or 15 and 9? Then guess what? Now you're talking about a team that's 30 and 22. We're going to talk about that team differently.